Commander Alexis Wright stared at the data screen, her eyes wide with disbelief. The energy signature pulsing on her monitor shouldn't exist. According to every history book in the Galactic Federation, it couldn't exist. "Run the scan again," she ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Lieutenant Peter Caldwell nodded and tapped the controls. The ship's sensors swept across the distant object hiding in the Kuiper Belt once more. The results were the same. "It's definitely artificial, Commander. And the design patterns, they match old human technology, but much more advanced." The bridge of the Federation science vessel Horizon fell silent. In the year 3457, everyone knew humans had gone extinct during the Great Collapse of 2893. For over 5 centuries, various alien species had settled Earth and the former human territories. Humanity had become nothing but stories and museum exhibits. Alexis ran her hand through her short blonde hair, a habit when deep in thought. "Keep this quiet for now," she said to her bridge crew. "Not a word to Federation Command until we know more." The small crew nodded in agreement. Discoveries this significant needed careful handling. "Plot a course to intercept. Minimal power signature. I want us to approach carefully," Alexis ordered. As the Horizon changed direction, Alexis called Dr. Grace Martinez to her private office. The xenanthropologist was the ship's expert on extinct civilizations, especially humanity. Grace arrived quickly, her dark eyes curious. "You found something." Alexis showed her the scans, Grace's normally calm face transformed with shock and excitement. "If these readings are accurate," Grace whispered, "this changes everything we know about human history." "That's why I need you on the landing team," Alexis said. "Your knowledge of human culture might be crucial." 3 days later, their small shuttle approached the mysterious object. Up close, it looked like an ordinary dwarf planet, one of thousands in this region of space. But the scans revealed the truth. It was hollow with an artificial structure inside. "Incredible camouflage," Peter said from the pilot's seat. "Anyone passing by would never notice unless they were looking specifically for energy signatures." They circled the dwarf planet, searching for an entrance. Finally, they detected a faint signal, a beacon broadcasting on an ancient frequency. "It's an old human emergency channel," Grace explained, excitement making her voice tremble. "But it's been modified. Someone's been updating this technology." Alexis made her decision. "Send a response on the same channel. Let them know we're friendly." For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the surface of the dwarf planet shifted. A section of what appeared to be solid rock slid open, revealing a massive hangar bay. "They're inviting us in," Peter said, sounding nervous. "Or it's a trap," Alexis replied. She checked her sidearm. "Either way, we're making history today. Take us in." The shuttle glided into the hangar, which sealed shut behind them. Artificial gravity and atmosphere readings suddenly appeared on their instruments. "Breathable air," Grace confirmed. "Similar to Earth standard." As they prepared to exit the shuttle, the hangar doors at the far end opened. A group of figures entered, walking on 2 legs, with 2 arms and clearly defined heads. "They're human," Grace gasped. "Actual living humans." The figures approached cautiously, weapons raised. At their center walked a tall woman with stern features and graying hair pulled back tightly. Her uniform was unlike anything in Federation records. She stopped a few meters from their shuttle and spoke into a communication device. Her voice came through the shuttle speakers, clear and commanding. "I am Director Eleanor Harris of the Remnant. You are trespassing in restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately." Alexis took a deep breath and opened the shuttle door. The moment of first contact with a supposedly extinct species had arrived, and everything would change from here. The air in the hangar felt heavy with tension. Commander Alexis Wright stepped forward, her hands raised to show she carried no weapons. "I am Commander Alexis Wright of the Galactic Federation science vessel Horizon. We mean no harm," she said clearly. "We detected your energy signature and came to investigate." Director Eleanor Harris did not lower her weapon. Her eyes narrowed with suspicion. The Federation. The same Federation that occupies Earth? She asked, her voice cold. The same Federation that teaches everyone that humans are extinct. Behind Alexis, Dr. Grace Martinez stepped forward slowly. Director Harris, we believed humans were extinct. All our records show humanity died out during the Great Collapse of 2893. Finding you here changes everything we know. Eleanor gestured to her guards, who surrounded the visitors. Take their weapons and communication devices, she ordered. Then bring them to the questioning room. Peter Caldwell tensed, his hand moving toward his sidearm. Alexis quickly placed a hand on his arm and shook her head. Fighting now would be a mistake. The human guards took their equipment and led them through a series of doors and hallways. Alexis tried to memorize the path, noting the impressive technology around them. Everything looked human in design, but far more advanced than the historical records showed. They entered a large room with a table and chairs. The walls were plain metal, but Alexis spotted hidden scanners and security devices. Sit, Eleanor commanded, taking her own seat across from them. Once they were seated, Eleanor pressed a button on her wrist device. A holographic display appeared above the table, showing images of the horizon. Your ship is now locked in our security field. It cannot send signals or leave without our permission, she explained. Now, tell me why you're really here. Grace leaned forward, her face open and honest. We're scientists, not soldiers. The energy signature we detected matched old human technology. We had to investigate. Eleanor laughed, but there was no humor in it. Scientists. The Federation sent scientists to find us. After what they did to humanity. Alexis frowned. What do you mean? Our records show humans destroyed themselves in civil wars and environmental disasters. Your records are lies, Eleanor said flatly. Carefully crafted lies to hide what really happened. She tapped her device again, and new images appeared. They showed scenes of devastation. Cities burning, people suffering from strange diseases, and alien ships firing weapons at Earth targets. Humanity didn't simply die out, Eleanor continued. We were systematically destroyed by a coalition of alien species who feared our rapid development. The same species who now lead your precious Federation. The room fell silent as Alexis and her team stared at the images, shocked by what they were seeing. That's not possible, Peter whispered. The Federation stands for peace and cooperation. The Federation was built on our graves, Eleanor replied. The few of us who survived did so by hiding. This colony, we call it Haven, was built in secret by the last human leaders as a failsafe. We've lived here for generations, watching, learning, and planning. Grace studied the images carefully. These records, they match gaps in our historical archives. Times when data is missing or unclear. Eleanor nodded. Of course they do. History is written by the winners. Alexis met Eleanor's gaze directly. If what you're saying is true, why reveal yourselves to us now? Why not stay hidden? We didn't reveal ourselves, Eleanor said. You found us. And now we need to decide what to do with you. She stood up and walked to a large window that suddenly became transparent, revealing a view of a massive underground city. Thousands of humans moved through streets lined with gardens and buildings. Children played in parks. It was a complete civilization, hidden away from the galaxy. This is what's at stake, Eleanor said quietly. The last free humans in the universe. So tell me, Commander Wright, what exactly do you plan to do with this discovery? Alexis stood at the window, staring at the impossible city before her. 50,000 humans lived here, according to Eleanor. 50,000 survivors of a species the galaxy believed extinct. We need to see more, Alexis said finally. If you want us to believe your version of history, show us your evidence. Eleanor studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Follow me, but know that you're being watched. Any attempt to contact your ship or the Federation will end badly. They left the room and entered a transport tube that carried them deep into the colony. As they traveled, Grace pressed her face against the glass, taking in every detail of Haven. "It's remarkable," she whispered. "The architecture, the technology. It's clearly human in origin, but has evolved in isolation." The tube stopped at a large building marked Historical Archives. Inside, Eleanor led them to a secure room filled with data storage units and display screens. "This is our most important treasure," she explained. "The true history of humanity's fall, preserved for future generations." A man with kind eyes and gray hair approached them. "Director, the secure files are ready," he said. "Thank you, Ben," Eleanor replied. "This is Ben Miller, our head archivist. He'll show you what you need to see." Ben activated the main screen, and images appeared, recordings from Earth's final days. They watched in horror as biological weapons, released by alien ships, spread through human cities. They saw defense systems failing as hidden viruses, planted years earlier, activated at the critical moment. "This wasn't just war," Ben explained sadly. "It was extermination, carefully planned and executed." Peter shook his head in disbelief. "But why? What threat did humans pose?" "We were expanding too quickly," Ben said. "Our technology was developing at a rate that frightened the older species. According to their projections, humans would have surpassed them within a century. So they struck first," Alexis murmured. "Precisely," Eleanor confirmed. "And then they rewrote history, portraying humans as self-destructive primitives who brought about their own end." Grace had been quiet, analyzing everything with her trained eye. Now she spoke up. "Your records match certain anomalies I've noted in Federation archives. There are inconsistencies in the official timeline that never made sense." Ben smiled at her. "A true scientist looks for truth, not convenient narratives." He changed the display to show the construction of Haven. This colony was built in secret by a consortium of scientists, military leaders, and visionaries who saw the signs of what was coming. They created this place as humanity's last refuge. "And you've been here, hidden, for over 5 centuries?" Peter asked. Eleanor nodded. "Watching, learning, developing our technology in isolation." She touched a control panel, and a new hologram appeared. A complex map of the solar system, with surveillance data from countless hidden sensors. "We see everything. We know when Federation ships enter our region. We monitor communications. We've watched Earth become a divided territory among alien powers, with our achievements either forgotten or attributed to others." Alexis felt overwhelmed. If this was true, everything she believed about the Federation, about history itself, was wrong. "There's more," Ben said quietly. He pressed a button, and a final set of images appeared, classified Federation Council meetings where leaders discussed the human problem centuries ago. Grace gasped. "That's Council President Jarvik. But this would have been 600 years ago." "Some species live very long lives," Eleanor said darkly. "Long enough to participate in genocide, and then enjoy the fruits of their crime for centuries afterward." She turned to face Alexis directly. "Now you understand our caution. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge?" Commander Wright. That night, Alexis couldn't sleep. Eleanor had given them guest quarters in Haven, comfortable but clearly monitored. The truth about humanity's fate weighed heavily on her mind. A soft knock on her door startled her. It was Peter, looking as troubled as she felt. "Commander, you need to see this," he whispered. "I met someone." He led her through dimly lit corridors to a small lab where a young man with bright eyes and messy brown hair waited. Computers and strange devices filled the room. "This is Samuel Bishop," Peter explained. "He's their best programmer." Samuel nodded nervously. "Lieutenant Caldwell mentioned you secretly downloaded some Federation archives before coming here. I think I can help you decrypt them." Alexis hesitated. She had indeed downloaded classified files about humanity's extinction, hoping to study them later. But she hadn't told anyone, not even her crew. "How did you know?" she asked. Samuel smiled. "Your ship's security is good, but I've had centuries of human ingenuity to work with. I detected the download when you entered our space. Can we trust him? Alexis asked Peter. I believe so, Peter replied. And we need to know the whole truth. Alexis made her decision. She removed a small data device hidden in her uniform and handed it to Samuel. These are classified Federation records about the Great Collapse. If you can decrypt them. Samuel's fingers flew across his keyboard. His quantum computers worked much faster than anything Alexis had seen before. Within minutes, files began opening on the main screen. This is incredible, Samuel whispered as he read. These are internal Federation Council communications from the time of humanity's fall. The three of them spent hours going through the files. What they found confirmed Haven's worst fears, and revealed even more. A coalition of 7 advanced species, fearful of humanity's rapid expansion and technological innovation, had indeed engineered humanity's downfall. They had planted biological weapons, sabotaged defense systems, and supported human separatist groups to create chaos. Look at these names, Peter said, pointing to a list of conspirators. 3 of them are currently on the Federation's High Council. Samuel nodded grimly. After successfully eliminating most humans, they formed the Galactic Federation with themselves at its center. They rewrote history to portray humans as self-destructive primitives. But the most disturbing discovery came in a file labeled Project Cleanup. They're still hunting for survivors, Alexis said, her voice shaking as she read. For 5 centuries, they've had secret teams searching for any remaining human colonies. They're afraid of us, Samuel said quietly, even after all this time. A noise at the door made them all freeze. Grace stood there, her face pale. I followed you, she admitted. I needed to know what you were doing. She looked at the screens. Is it all true then? All of it, Peter confirmed. The Federation was founded on genocide. Alexis felt sick. Her entire career had been in service to an organization built on lies. As dawn approached, they made their way back to their quarters. In the hallway, Alexis noticed someone watching them, a man named Liam Foster, her communications officer who had stayed behind on the shuttle. Commander, he nodded casually, but something in his eyes made Alexis uneasy. Back in her room, she sent an encrypted message to Peter. Watch Foster. I don't trust him. Unknown to Alexis at that very moment, Foster was sending his own message to a Federation dreadnought waiting just outside the solar system. His message was simple. Humans found. Coordinates attached. Awaiting orders. Morning came too quickly. Alexis met with her team privately in Grace's quarters. Something's not right with Foster, she told them. He's been too interested in our communications equipment. Peter nodded. I checked the shuttle logs. There was an unauthorized transmission last night. Grace looked alarmed. You think he contacted the Federation? Before Alexis could answer, alarms blared throughout Haven. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Eleanor's voice came over the speakers. Security alert. Federation vessel detected entering the system. All defense teams to stations. Alexis and her team rushed to the command center. Eleanor stood at a large control panel, surrounded by her security officers. Her face was hard with anger. You betrayed us, she accused when she saw Alexis. Someone sent a message to a Federation dreadnought. They're heading straight for us. It wasn't us, Alexis replied quickly. It was Foster, my communications officer. He must be working for Federation intelligence. Samuel rushed in, out of breath. Commander Wright is telling the truth. I traced the signal. It came from your shuttle, sent by Foster. Eleanor didn't look convinced. We need to prepare for attack. Our defenses are strong, but a dreadnought carries enough firepower to threaten even Haven. Alexis made a sudden decision. Let me help you. I know Federation tactics. Why would you turn against your own people? Eleanor asked suspiciously. Because they lied to us all, Alexis replied. What they did to humanity was wrong. What they're still doing is wrong. A security officer burst into the room. Director, The shuttle pilot attempted to sabotage our defensive shield generators. Lieutenant Caldwell stopped him. Moments later, Peter entered, dragging a handcuffed Foster. The spy's face was bruised, but his eyes showed only cold determination. He had these, Peter said, holding up small explosive devices, enough to damage the main shield generators. Foster spoke for the first time, his voice calm. "You're making a mistake, Commander. The Federation will not allow human survivors to exist. They're too dangerous." "Why?" Grace asked. "What threat do these people pose after hiding peacefully for centuries?" "Because humans adapt too quickly. They innovate too well," Foster replied. "Given time, they would rise again and seek revenge." Eleanor turned to Alexis. "You see now, they'll never leave us in peace." The room shook slightly as distant sensors detected the Federation dreadnought entering the outer defense perimeter. "I need to make a choice," Alexis said. She looked at her crew members, then at the humans of Haven. "I can't support genocide, not even by staying silent." She faced Eleanor directly. "I formally request asylum for myself and any of my crew who wish to stay. We'll help you defend Haven." Peter and Grace stepped forward to stand beside her. Foster laughed coldly. "You're throwing away your careers and your lives. That ship is commanded by Admiral Vincent Clark. He takes threats to the Federation very seriously." Alexis froze at the name. "Clark is here. Vincent Clark." "You know him?" Eleanor asked. "He was my mentor at the academy," Alexis explained. "He always seemed troubled by certain Federation policies. He used to ask questions about the historical archives." A plan began forming in her mind. "Eleanor, there's a chance, a small one, that Clark might listen if we can show him what we found." "You want to try talking to a Federation admiral who's come to destroy us?" Eleanor asked incredulously. "Yes," Alexis said firmly. "Because if we can convince him, we gain a powerful ally. And if I'm wrong..." She looked at the weapon systems. Haven still has its defenses. Eleanor considered for a long moment, then nodded. "One chance. But we prepare for battle." The neutral meeting point was a small asteroid halfway between Haven and the Federation dreadnought. Alexis and Eleanor traveled there in a Haven shuttle, armed with the evidence they had gathered. Admiral Vincent Clark was already waiting when they arrived. He was a tall man with steel-gray hair and stern features that softened slightly when he saw Alexis. "Commander Wright," he said formally, "I never expected to find you defending human fugitives. And I never expected to discover that our Federation was built on genocide," she replied. Clark's face remained carefully neutral. Strong accusations require strong evidence. Eleanor stepped forward. "We have it." For the next hour, they showed Clark everything. The historical records from Haven, the recently decrypted Federation files, and the evidence of ongoing efforts to hunt down human survivors. Clark watched in silence, his expression growing more troubled with each revelation. When they finished, he sat heavily in his chair. "I've had suspicions for years," he admitted finally. "Inconsistencies in the official records, classified sections that made no sense. But this," he gestured at the evidence, "this is beyond what even I imagined." "So you believe us?" Alexis asked cautiously. Clark nodded slowly. "I do. And you're not the only ones with doubts about our history." He activated a secure communication device. "There's a group within the Federation, officers, historians, even some council members, who have been quietly investigating humanity's extinction for decades. We never found concrete proof until now." Eleanor looked skeptical. Why would any Federation citizens care about what happened to humans centuries ago? "Because truth matters," Clark replied simply. "And because some of us believe the Federation should be better than its origins." He turned back to Alexis. "My ship is not here to destroy Haven. My orders were to investigate and report back. But I have discretion in how I execute those orders." While they talked, Samuel contacted them from Haven with urgent news. "Director Harris, Commander Wright, "I've found something in our deep archives that you need to see immediately." Back at Haven, they gathered in the Archive Center. Samuel's eyes were bright with excitement as he brought up ancient files on the main screen. "When I was searching for more evidence about the Federation conspiracy, I found encrypted records that predate Haven's founding," he explained. "They were locked with security protocols that only activated after Federation contact was reestablished." The files revealed something astonishing. Haven was not alone. Before the Great Collapse, Samuel explained, humanity's leaders suspected what was coming. They created not one, but dozens of secret colonies throughout unexplored regions of space. The screen showed a map of distant star systems, each marked with a small blue dot. Haven was just one node in a deliberately fragmented network, Samuel continued. Each colony was established with different specialties. Some focused on science, others on culture or military technology. They were designed to remain isolated from each other for centuries, developing independently until it was safe to reconnect. All this time, Eleanor whispered, "We thought we were the last humans in existence." "According to these records, there could be millions of human survivors," Samuel said. "Each colony was founded with at least 10,000 people. And you have a way to contact them?" Clark asked. Samuel nodded. "With these authentication codes from the archives, we can send signals they'll recognize as coming from fellow humans, signals that the Federation never knew to look for." Alexis looked at Clark, then at Eleanor. "This changes everything." "Yes," Clark agreed. "The question now is, what do we do with this information?" 6 months passed quickly. In a large meeting hall on a neutral space station, Eleanor Harris stood before representatives from across the galaxy. Her voice was strong as she addressed them. "For centuries, the galaxy believed humans were extinct. Today, that myth ends." Screens around the hall displayed images of human colonies coming out of hiding, 12 so far, with more responding each month to the special signal Samuel had sent using the ancient authentication codes. Humanity did not destroy itself, as Federation history claims. Eleanor continued, "We were the victims of a coordinated attack, but we survived, we adapted, and we evolved." In the audience, Admiral Clark sat with a group of Federation officers who had joined his cause. Beside him, Alexis watched with pride as Eleanor revealed humanity's true story to the galaxy. The revelation had sent shockwaves through the Federation. 3 High Council members, those implicated in the ancient conspiracy, had been removed from power. The Federation itself was undergoing painful but necessary reforms. Not everyone welcomed humanity's return. Some species feared revenge. Others worried about competition. But most were simply amazed that an entire species had managed to survive in secret for so long. After the formal announcement, Alexis found Eleanor staring out a viewport at the stars. "What are you thinking about?" Alexis asked. "The future," Eleanor replied. "For centuries, we lived for survival alone. Now we need to learn how to truly live again." Samuel approached them, excitement on his face. "The signal from Colony Artemis just came through. They've confirmed contact and are sending representatives." "What was their specialty?" Alexis asked. "Advanced physics," Samuel replied. "According to the archives, they were working on revolutionary propulsion technology before the collapse." Peter joined them, now wearing a uniform that combined Federation and Haven designs, a symbol of the new alliance forming between humans and those Federation members who supported reconciliation. "The Artemis representatives will arrive next week," he reported, "and 3 more colonies have responded to our signal. Each human colony they discovered was unique. Some had focused on art and culture, others on medicine or agriculture. Each had developed in isolation, creating distinct technologies and societies. Together, they represented a diverse tapestry of human potential. Grace have established a Galactic Historical Truth Commission, working with scholars from across the Federation to restore humanity's place in galactic history. The work was sometimes painful, but necessary for healing. We're not just reclaiming our past, Grace had explained, "We're creating a new future." That evening, the leaders of the human colonies gathered privately. Some had traveled for weeks to reach the meeting. Their differences were obvious, in appearance, language, and customs, but they shared a common heritage and determination. "We have a choice to make," Eleanor told them. "We can seek revenge for what was done to our ancestors, or we can build something better." After much discussion, they reached their decision. Humanity would rejoin galactic society, not as conquerors seeking vengeance, but as survivors offering wisdom learned from centuries of hardship and isolation. 2 days later, Alexis prepared for her new mission. She stood on the bridge of a ship unlike any other, built with technology from Haven, Colony Artemis, and reformed Federation engineers. Her crew was equally diverse. "Captain Wright," Peter said from his station. "All systems ready." Alexis nodded and looked at the star map, showing the locations of human colonies still waiting to be contacted. "The last humans died centuries ago, or so they believed," she said quietly. "But our story was just beginning. Let's make it a good one." She gave the order, and the ship moved forward into humanity's new dawn.